Are you thinking of making your way out to the Finger Lakes? Well, in this video, we're going to be talking about the top pros and cons of living in the Finger Lakes. Stick around to the end because the last two cons really grind our gears up here. Yeah. Let's go.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Avery. This is my partner Anthony, and we are American Home Team. Guys, if you're new here, we talk everything there is to know about the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York. So if you're into that kind of thing, interested in the Finger Lakes area, go ahead and like and subscribe so that you're notified every single time we post a new video every Tuesday and Thursday.
Absolutely, guys. And as much as we love making these videos for you, we would love even more to help you in your real estate needs. We are licensed real estate agents here in the Finger Lakes area of New York. So that little number and email that's popping up on your screen there, be sure to give us a call, email, text, whatever you want to do, and we would love to help you out. Without further ado, guys, we're talking about the top pros and cons of living in the Finger Lakes. You want to do number one?
Let's go. So number one is the top pro is the low cost of living here in the Finger Lakes. So as far as home prices go, we're looking at an average sales price in the Finger Lakes region, which is a pretty big region, of $269,000. That's compared to the New York State average of $375,000, and then a United States average of $428,000. As far as groceries and everything else goes, we're between 5 to 8% lower than the national average.
Yep, absolutely. And guys, when you're here, there, of course, just like anywhere else, you're gonna see some things that are gonna be a little bit higher in price, and you're gonna see some things that you're like, oh wow, I didn't know that was that cheap, right?
Yep.
That's anywhere that you go, though. The Finger Lakes is no different.
Yep.
But average is 5 to 8% lower than the national average. So you're living a little bit cheaper here, and then especially compared to downstate,
yeah,
you're living significantly cheaper here.
For sure, and sort of to reference what he's talking about, so we do have a grocery store called Wegmans. Wegmans is a slightly higher price than your Walmart or your Aldi, because it is a higher quality of food, higher quality of product, and then we do have a lot of local grocery stores that are Amish-made food or Amish-made products that is going to increase the average price of a lot of home goods and or groceries. So, average, we are lower than the New York State standard or the New York State average rather, but definitely lower than the United States average.
Yep, absolutely. Guys, moving in right into pro number two, we're talking about the foodie culture.
Yeah.
So along with the foodie culture, we got the wine and beer tasting culture, some music here and there, right? Yeah. So we live on the Finger Lakes. The Finger Lakes is known as the wine country of the East Coast. So much like Napa Valley in California, that is the Finger Lakes in New York, and for the whole East Coast for that matter.
Yeah. Guys, we have very, very good soil to grow hops and grapes specifically. And so what that means is that we get to benefit from top-notch beer, top-notch wine, and then you go to those craft breweries or wineries, these kind of small wineries. You get to enjoy some good food. You get to enjoy some live music, some small local bands that just play gigs. And a lot of these wineries and breweries are alongside the lake. So you can go out on the boat and then pull up, get off, go to a brewery, go to a winery or a couple of them. You can do like a wine walk and enjoy some good drinks, enjoy some good music, and then go back out onto the lake or do whatever it is that you want to do. It's really a good time, but that is the extent of the majority of our nightlife, quote unquote, here in the Finger Lakes. We don't have a club life like if you were to go into a major metro, maybe in Rochester or Syracuse. The wineries and the breweries, that is sort of our nightlife. We like to go and have a laid back, chill drink. Watch some music, and that's about it. Like it's really a good time, but it definitely is a little bit slower than some of those in the metro areas.
So Avery mentioned wine walks, right? There are some areas that you can walk from winery to winery, or
or a beer crawl or whatever.
Right. Yeah, but a majority of the time you're gonna have to drive there just because we're out in the country a little bit here, where a lot of these wineries and breweries are. You're in the country, so you're gonna have to drive, but you can hit multiple of them. There's wine trails and brewery trails, basically, that are along the same road. And
along Seneca Lake, sorry to cut you off, along Seneca Lake, New York 14, Highway 14, has probably 20 wineries and breweries right there on 14. So you can go from Geneva all the way down to Watkins Glen, and you probably hit 15 to 20 wineries or breweries.
Yeah, within a mile of each other, right? And the coolest part about them is, Avery mentioned you can pull up on your boat and go to a lot of them. But even if you're not on the boat, you have amazing views of the lake.
Yeah.
And whatever lake you're on, the scenery is just amazing. Yeah. And it's, it just creates a great atmosphere for the music. You can sit back, kind of put your feet up and look out at the lake and have a great scenery, right? Yeah. Just creates a really cool environment that people travel actually from all over the world to come visit and do a lot of these things. Hit up a lot of these wineries and breweries.
Because it is the Napa Valley of the East Coast.
That's right.
Moving on to pro number 3 is the education. I don't like talking about the education, but it's some of the best colleges and school systems in the U.S.
Yep. So we've got a lot of the Ivy League schools up this way. You have
SUNY.
Yeah, SUNY schools. CUNY schools are actually nearby, right? The City University of New York. They're of course down in New York City, but it's close enough. Yep. You've got Binghamton, you've got Ithaca, you've got Cornell. Finger Lakes Community College right here in Canandaigua is home to some of the best nursing professionals in our area. And a lot of it's through the University of Rochester nursing program. So it's just phenomenal. Our colleges, universities, and even our high schools and middle schools are amongst the top in the United States.
And the good thing about a lot of the education here is that there's tons of co-op and internship programs. Whether you're in high school and you want to go and explore some jobs at like Constellation or Paychex or FedEx or wherever, a lot of the high schools and a lot of the colleges have partnerships with some of the bigger companies around here to allow students to have the access to go in and sort of learn what life is going to be like after college.
Yep.
So it's kind of cool.
And one thing that we're kind of diving into more now that we have kids is kind of like the homeschool option, right?
Yep.
And so in New York State, you can homeschool, obviously, and it is a New York State program, and they allow you to do that kind of at your own will, at your own leisure. Like, you can do your own thing with your kids, and it's still a top-tier education that your kids are going to get, even though they're home with you or with, they even set
tutor.
up tutors or pods, right, where you can go with other kids. So those are other options if sending your kids to school, to public school, isn't a thing. You've got private school options, and you've got Montessori school options.
Yep. And one thing
as well as homeschool options.
One thing to be cognizant about with the homeschool option is that New York State does not allow the students, if they're being homeschooled, to participate in school-funded sports.
Yep, that's important.
So if your kids, or you're interested in having your kids play sports or some school extracurricular activities, that's something to think about. New York doesn't allow the homeschool students to participate in those activities.
Absolutely, and that being said, those school-funded sports in the Finger Lakes particularly are very good.
Yeah,
they are very
top-notch.
good, top-notch schools for football, lacrosse, soccer, swimming. So that is a very good point that you brought up, because if school-funded sports is a factor for you and your family, and that's important to you, obviously homeschooling in New York State may not be an option for you.
Yeah.
It might not even be an option in the first place, but we just wanted to kind of throw it in there that it is allowed in New York State, and that you can still get a great education by doing that.
Yeah, and so those are the 3 pros that we came up with. Now moving on to the 3 cons. Con number 1 is something that a lot of snowbirds, it's a reason a lot of the snowbirds move out of the state. It's because of the winter. We do have long winters, they're wet winters, and for people that don't like winter, it's not a fun winter.
Yeah, and I don't know. I always consider winter is a hard one for me because I like it personally.
Yeah.
We like the winter because we grew up doing things in the winter, and that would be our one piece of advice for anybody who is moving to the area that isn't used to winter is you have to be able to find something that you enjoy doing, whether it's snowmobiling, snowshoeing, skiing, snowboarding, ice skating in the winter. You have to find something to keep you occupied and keep your mind off of it being cold and wet and, whatever. That being said, he mentioned it's a wet winter. We do get rain. It might be 36 degrees, right? Mm-hmm. So it's raining instead of snowing.
Yep.
We do get a lot of lake effect snow, though, too.
Yeah.
So coming off of Lake Erie and Ontario, we get heavy snow at times.
Yeah, so we do average about 55 inches of snow every single year compared to the national average, which is 28 inches of snow every single year. And with that said, the winter is a lot of gray and gloomy days, right? We in New York only have 165 sunny days compared to the national average of 205.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, because a lot of locals here, particularly I'd say ones that don't get out and do things in the winter, they claim the seasonal depression, right? And it's a thing. You when you're staying inside all the time and it's dark and gloomy outside and it seems dark and gloomy in your house too because of the weather, you can get kind of down on yourself. You're not getting that vitamin D and the outdoor fresh air and everything. So it is important because of that, because we don't get as much sun as other parts of the United States, right? It is important to get outside and actually do things and make use of the time, because winter's here. You can't change it in New York State, so you might as well utilize it to the best of your ability.
Yeah, and even though I like the winter, I do find it in myself that I'll get that seasonal depression if I don't go to the mountain and ride the snowboard, or if I don't go out with my daughter and play in the snow, or whatever, right? If I'm just staying in and I'm working and it's gray all the time and snowing outside or whatever, I will get that too. But I know the second that I go out and, start building a snowman or whatever it is with my daughter, it picks you right back up and you get back into the zone and you can actually be a little bit more productive.
Yeah, not only that, but it makes Christmas time a lot more Christmassy.
Yeah. When we actually get snow.
When we have snow for Christmas and you've got that snowman out there and you've got the house decorated and everything, it makes it feel like Christmas. Him and I both spent time in warmer climates. I was out in Hawaii. They decorated the palm trees for Christmas. It just wasn't the same.
It ain't the same.
It's not the same. And, so there is something to be said about having snow in cold weather during Christmas time.
Yep.
I enjoy it. You just got to find something to do to keep yourself occupied. Moving into the second con of living in the Finger Lakes, and it's something that really kind of skeeves a lot of us locals, particularly in the Finger Lakes, is the politics, right? Because up in this area in the Finger Lakes, we tend to be a little bit more center, maybe even a little bit right of center, right, when it comes to political leanings. But the politics comes from New York City, which is very left of center. And I say very left of center lightly. And so a lot of the time we feel like our votes don't matter up in this area.
Yeah, and one of the examples that we'll use is that, there's a lot of gun laws here in New York State. And a lot of that is pushed from the city of New York. But also at the same time, in this area, particularly in the Finger Lakes, we have a ton of hunters. So they're hunting. They want to go buy a new gun. They have to jump through hoops to do so. You can understand why people get frustrated, right? We're not saying anything about what our beliefs are or anything like that. However, a lot of the locals do feel like their vote doesn't matter when it comes time to vote, just because a lot of it is pushed down from the city. But we are, like, you can pull up a political map, right? Every election year, they have those little political maps. The majority of the counties here in the Finger Lakes and really upstate tend to lean conservative or Republican. And New York City and New Jersey are very, very blue. And that's just the way it's always been. So the only reason we're bringing this up is because if you are on one side of the political spectrum, you might be shocked when you move here and you realize that your vote isn't necessarily counting that much.
There's just a stark contrast, right?
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why it matters, right? And what's nice, though, I will say what's nice about the Finger Lakes is that mostly everybody in the Finger Lakes, us locals, we believe in live and let live, right? So it's love your neighbor and just let them live their life and you live your life and just leave each other alone, right? And we have to live together, right? And so just be friendly, just be kind. And I believe that all of us locals really try our best to live by that, right? And
it is live and let live.
Yeah, and not let our political differences maybe get in the way. So
for sure.
Moving on to con number 3. This is another one that drives all of us crazy, particularly if you own homes or property or whatever, and that's taxes.
Yep. Yeah, and you know, we were out in Colorado not too long ago, back in July, and we're at a friend's house whose house is about $3 million or so, and he pays $3,000 in taxes a year, and houses here that are like $200,000 are paying what?
$6,000?
$4,500 to $6,000, $7,000, depending on where you live,
the county you live in, and yeah.
So a lot of people, if you ask where you should live in the Finger Lakes or whatever, they will say a place like Henrietta, where there's more commercial business, where the taxes are lower. That said, like we mentioned on pro number 1, we do have a lower cost of living. So even though we have higher property taxes and a higher sales tax than most states, it tends to even out because our prices are a little bit lower than the national average.
Yep, absolutely. So taxes, while maybe they are high compared to particularly other areas of the nation, but
especially down south.
Down south, yeah. But they're not bad considering taxes downstate, right?
Yeah.
Toward New York City,
right,
where they're astronomical.
But the other thing, sorry to cut you off again. The other thing I wanted to mention about the taxes is like, yeah, we have higher taxes, but we have phenomenal school systems.
Yeah.
We have great roads. Believe it, like there's a lot of people that complain about potholes and everything. We do have better roads than most other places, most other states that I've been to,
and a lot more green space.
A lot more green space. A lot better kept neighborhoods. You know, so I think in storefronts and main streets and things like that, like I think we have a very, very nice area that we live in, and that's partially due to the taxes that we pay.
Yep, and you know, we say taxes are a con. I think mostly everybody kind of believes that, but I don't ever really like harping on it because they are what they are. Unless there's a significant change in, say, politics, right? Then taxes are taxes. Yep. They're gonna be there.
Yep.
If you live in New York State, taxes are going to be there. So that's just something that you live with when you come to this area. And there are trade-offs, right? You get the beauty of the Finger Lakes, but you get taxes, right? You get a great education system, but you get taxes, right? So it's a trade-off. It is what it is. Again, I don't like beating a dead horse on taxes just because they are there.
So let's hop off of it.
So that being said, guys, this is Living in the Finger Lakes. Again, we make videos about everything living, breathing, eating, sleeping in the Finger Lakes. If you enjoy this content, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that little notification bell so you're notified every Tuesday and Thursday that we make videos.
That's right. Have a good day, guys. See you later.